Take two. My name is Ram, and this is Ash. Welcome back,
Yo, what's
guys.
up?
So, this is, you'll have to forgive, this might be a little rough around the edges. This is episode 2, currently recording at 3:20 in the morning after I have woken up from just a few hours of sleep, but I couldn't go back
You
to
know we're
sleep.
dedicated at this point.
So, this is going to be high quality when I'm like, screw it, rather than go back to sleep after 2 hours, let's record an episode. Why not? Um, what's going on today? What we're gonna talk about, Ash, is a lot of shit going down on Twitch right now. What do you have
Yep.
you been keeping track of it?
Oh yeah. So for anyone who just doesn't know, there's been a quite a string of sexual allegations coming out recently in the gaming industry.
Yeah,
And so as such, we wanted to center this episode around females within the gaming industry. I know that's always been like a very sensitive topic and definitely something that's been brushed under the rug for quite some time.
mm-hmm.
But everything's just been flooding in like at once with all these sexual allegations, all this sexual harassment, and you know, just looking at a few of them, like Method alone, which is a raiding guild in World of Warcraft, has had quite a fair number of people. I think two or three people who have been accused of sexual harassment at this point.
That's the esports organization formerly known as Method, which is they're done now.
Yeah, they disbanded.
They are
Apparently, that's what I heard.
they're pretty definitively canceled. Yeah, and you know what? As they probably should be, considering how many issues are from the top down. How many issues have been springing up. This may end up, for those of you listening, this may end up going a couple episodes actually because there's just so much to talk about. We're not quite sure yet. Today we thought about getting into some specifics of the details with some of the bigger names, and then in the next episode having a more broader discussion of what we think, like our specific takes, which might, to be fair, might come up in this episode anyways, but we'll have a better, more coherent discussion of like the morality of different issues going on. So let's just get into it. So right off the bat, let's start with Method, and specifically MethodJosh. Would you mind just giving a breakdown of what's going on there, Ash?
Yeah, so Method Josh has been accused of, let's see, I think 7 different allegations, or six.
I believe so,
Six to,
yeah.
yeah, 6 to 7 different allegations, all ranging from just very abusive behavior to soliciting sexual photos from underage girls,
Yeah.
all the way up to one rape accusation. So he's been down the whole train and back.
Yes.
So
So I'm, take this with a grain of salt. I'm on World of Warcraft's subreddit, and they have a pinned, a post there, and Josh actually has 8 different allegations, which
eight now.
I think last one of them is anonymous, but I think last I checked before it was 6 or 7. So
Yeah, that's what I
they've
thought also.
there's 1 or 2 more slapped on there. I don't mean to say that as if they're haphazardly slapped on, but yeah, these are very serious things that are going on, and they're probably worth discussing. The most notorious one, or the one that was most likely to get him, well, I guess the 2 specific instances that are most likely to get him deservedly, his comeuppance. There are underage allegations associated with Method Josh, as well as the incident with Pooper Noodle, another notable streamer, right?
You're correct, yes.
Yeah, so there's those that go along with him. Those are the biggest ones, and there were other issues within Method as well, correct, Ash?
Yeah, so there was one other with the co-CEO,
Mm-hmm.
Sasha. So there was a allegation against him by Annie,
Yeah,
which is another WoW streamer.
Annie Fuchsia. Yeah, Fuchsia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fuchsia.
Fuchsia, and then
I think so. I don't know. Anyway,
Sweebliss, I think.
yeah,
I'm not
there
as
was
familiar with
another
him.
one
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a second one also, but let me double check. Yeah, there was 2 at least. So
Yeah, there are 2
apparently
on the
there was,
subreddit post. Yeah.
right, and there was basically just him making Annie, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
Anna.
Annie.
Annie. Okay.
Uh huh.
She's making Annie very uncomfortable, overstepping boundaries, and potentially sexual harassment, depending on your term or defining it
Mm-hmm.
in your definition.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's, like I said, top-down issues. You mentioned that there was even another case to come out of Method. I think just
Yes.
in
So
recent times.
yeah, Fragments I
Uh,
think also goes by Jimmy, also another streamer,
yeah.
and also WoW player. So for him, actually turns out he got some sexual pictures from a female,
Mm-hmm.
and then went on to distribute it to other people,
Yeah.
leading
Which.
to some
Yeah.
negative results to happen to this female.
Sure. Sure. But again, for today with Method, we're going to talk about usually things just specifically surrounding Method Josh. But it was worth getting into why I mentioned that Method got almost completely canceled. They've been nuked straight off. Like
Yeah,
all
yeah.
their sponsors are gone. Right. Nothing is.
No sponsors, no streamers,
Yeah.
no teams,
Yeah.
no even the guild disbanded.
Yeah,
So
as I said earlier, I just woke up, so I don't know if there's any news that came out in the last few hours. But
no, it doesn't look like.
yeah.
But Sko's girlfriend, even so, Sko's the CEO of it.
Mm-hmm.
His girlfriend just dipped also from Method.
Oh yeah, it's over. Like
Yeah,
they are. Like there
they're
is
gonna have
no
to
more
do like
Method.
rebrand or something. I don't know
Yeah,
how they're gonna come back.
yeah. So yeah, if you ever thought about putting a guild app in for Method, that's no longer a thing as an esports
Unfortunately,
organization and as a guild.
you
So.
come apply to my guild. We do casual normals.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
very casual.
No, I'm too good for your guild. So anyways, let's get into it. So with Method Josh, he has a variety of allegations against him, and I'm gonna call them allegations because innocent until proven guilty. Technically, I'm all for people getting what they deserve if they've violated people's personal space or however you want to describe it. But for now, they are allegations. But pretty scummy allegations in terms of like like a picture is being painted of him and it's not looking too good for him. So let's start with the ones that's the underage allegations. I mean, let's just get right into the most serious of them.
Second serious.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You know what? Actually, that's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah. Not that we need to be. That's true.
Right,
That's
right.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, let's start with these first, then we'll get into like the really heavy ones.
Yeah. Okay. So the underage one, the person said this happened around 3 years ago. The person being at 2 Alex May 5. This was a girl who now a full grown adult, an adult who 3 years ago she's currently 19. She started having her relationship with Josh, so to speak. I believe this was the one with Discord messages, where that's where they got in touch for discipline priests, specifically. And yeah, after Josh found out she was female, he started trying to flex a bit with his disc priest skills, which he has those, sure. And him being as famous as he was at the time, he certainly played that to his tried to play that in his favor, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So just going through some of the just cringy conversations.
Yeah.
Like they are just like the ultimate wow antisocial dork who doesn't know how to handle himself around women. But even though almost right off the bat she made it clear she's 16, he immediately came back with, hey, age of consent in the UK. So he made his intentions, I guess, pretty clear right off the bat. And it's just she comes right back and again says, sorry boy, you're not getting any, I'm afraid. And then again, that's where the flexing began, where he starts coming back with, I mean, this is within like instantly he comes back. Like he is absolutely with these back and forths are happening within a minute. So he is like, pursuing this pretty hard. He's saying maybe this will change your mind. Links his video of his disc priest point of view on a mythic and an end game mythic boss. And yeah, he's just talking about how he's on a fallen avatar world first. She's rejected him at this point 3 times and has rejected his advances. He comes back with check the heals per second meter. And then she's again is sort of hesitant. I mean, What did you make of these early conversations between the two, Ash?
I don't know. She's I feel like she's kind of like trying to let him down easy. You know,
Sure.
you're kind of like joking with him, like, oh, I'm underage, but like, you know, there's a serious tone underneath that. It's like, hey, I'm underage.
Yeah, like
I don't think I don't think he registers, like, exactly what is going on, and I think that's a common theme we see like within the gaming industry.
mhm.
And people forget like usually gamers are not the most socially adept people.
Yeah, there's definitely a
Yeah, I
layer of
mean,
awkwardness to
like
this.
no offense to anybody, but sitting in front of a computer all day doesn't necessarily grow your social skills,
I'm
to say
personally
the least.
offended.
And so then when you have someone like Josh who acts the way he acts and behaves how he does, it can be extrapolated that something like this will eventually possibly occur, and he doesn't understand what it actually means to respect someone's boundaries, or when someone says no. And because she didn't say like straight up, like hard hitting no, right?
Mhm.
Which, right, he he doesn't like take the hint per se.
Yeah, within the span of 10 minutes, 3:39 p.m. to 3:49 p.m., she rejected him 8
Yeah,
different times, like very
right.
clearly. Sorry, dude, you got to find a different girl. She said, maybe in a few years. She said, sorry, boy, you're not getting any, I'm afraid. Still not good enough, I'm afraid. Like, these are all separate messages. And he is just, pelting her with constant messages. Um, Clearly, again, just trying to, knowing full well that she's 16 at this time. He's read the age of consent law. Clearly, that was linked very early in their conversation, back and forth. He is still, I guess, chancing it, so to speak. And
Right.
yeah, it's just, I mean, so okay, and specifically regarding the law, we should probably actually get into that. So age of consent in the UK. So as of a few days ago, when we were reviewing it, do you want to get into the details about it?
Yeah, so she actually brought up in her post itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the age of consent in the United Kingdom is 16 years old, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so while in the USA it's 18. But I guess what I did not know is that in UK it is still 18 years old to for you to send a sexual picture to someone. It's strictly legal under 18.
Yeah, it's
And so that's kind of like, I think it kind of messed with my head a little bit. It's like I thought that's kind of sounds kind of backwards to me.
yeah. One would think that okay, the more serious act of between if you had to pick between sending pictures, nude pictures, or engaging sexually with someone, the actual physical engagement would be taken more seriously and would require maybe more maturity rather than just sending pictures. However, in the UK, it is actually they at least in terms of the eye of the law, they see it the other way around, where sending picture, and I guess I could sort of understand it a little bit in the sense that it's very easy to distribute pictures. They can just travel like a wildfire, and yeah, it can get out of hand very quickly. But I believe even for those who are, let's say, a 15-year-old sending another 15-year-old pictures, I believe even that act itself is legal, which is just, yeah, like, I mean, I
And
mean,
I mean that can be spread easily also.
yeah, easily within, like, just say hypothetically, in high school or whatever, just among a group of friends, and yeah, just it's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't make, and I mean, this is maybe a little, from the point of view of an American, of as Americans, it would at least make sense to have those on the same
Same level,
same
right?
level, but they're not even that. Over here, obviously. Well, I guess it varies by state, but generally, a good rule of thumb is 18 and 18. That would make
Yeah.
sense. However,
And I
that's not the
mean,
case in England.
yeah, I mean, so in here, I think this particular, I mean, Josh has like 8 allegations, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this particular situation, it feels like the logic of the law versus the morality of the
Yeah.
person reviewing like the situation is like two separate at this point. It's
Ye-
like the law is saying no, it's illegal, right?
mm-hmm.
But then like morally, either like you would be fine with that if you grew up in that area,
Yeah.
or like if you came from somewhere else where 18 or 20 or something is, I think it's 19 somewhere else.
Right.
But don't quote me on that, right? But you might view this as, oh my god, she's a kid, right? How do you do that?
Yeah,
And I actually
absolutely.
heard from someone that, so yeah, actually this, don't quote me on this one either, but I heard from someone where some people don't take that second law with the pictures that seriously,
Mm-hmm.
but that could be fake. But if that's true, then I don't know. I feel like these laws are kind of fuzzy, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, of course they are. It's just not everyone before they engage in relationships, goes through the legality of every action, right? So naturally,
Yeah,
I mean, he had at least linked it, so he knew that he was already, up on the edge of it, at the bare minimum, and I mean, but even going beyond that, at the time of these interactions, he's 21 and she's 16. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a 5 year difference. And if 10 years later, it's not a big deal if he's 31 and she's 26. However, at this point in time, the law of the land has to be drawn somewhere.
right.
And she's still a developing person, just not just mentally. I mean, that's the I would that's the majority. In terms of informed consent, when one wants to give adults or a certain age group inform the right to form their own judgments and determine whether or not they give their consent to other adults. 16, I mean, it's not. 18 is obviously the decent rule because you can go fight wars at 18. You can smoke. I believe in the UK you can drink as well. In the US you can't drink, but that seems like a reasonable line. But when we're starting to go into 16, the age of 16, that territory where people are still in high school, in the middle of high school, not even at the end of it, in the middle of it. They're worrying about SAT. We had this before when we were prepping for the show a little bit. I said that he, theoretically, in an American sense, he would be looking at coming out of college, whereas she's still at
Yeah,
least preoccupied with SATs.
right, two separate things.
Yeah, two very huge things. He is looking to head into the job force. She is worried about, things like she's not that far from having recess periods. You know what I mean? I mean, they do have recess periods at high school. Yeah. So,
No, they have lunch periods.
well, we had oh, I shouldn't say recess. I should say gym. Not recess,
Okay,
gyms.
boomer.
I'm
Anyway,
sorry. So,
so Ron, let me ask
yeah.
you this though.
Yeah.
You said you defined it based on the, like, you could fight wars and you could drink at 18, right? So if
Sure.
everything was pushed back down to 16, would you be fine with that?
No, I
Because
still
law
think
says it's
18,
fine?
18 feels good as like a
Or would you want it later, like
I
21?
no, I think 18 feels good. So the reason for that is being, again, you can do all those things. Society views you as a full-grown adult. If you commit a crime, you're tried as an
But those are
adult.
based on laws, though, right?
Yeah, those are based on laws, but it also makes sense in terms of like a social developmental point of view, simply because you're out of high school. Like, well, theoretically, if you're, tracking or along the path of most other people, maybe the average person is coming out of high school. If they're on the right path so far and haven't really screwed up too much, so that makes sense because they're looking towards the bigger picture, whether or not they go to college. College does expand the mind a bit, but as a person, you are at least you've arrived at a point where you start to have some responsibility put on your shoulders. That's usually when people start getting jobs. People start, in college, you choose your own courses. You might be paying for your own courses at that. You might start picking up some bills. Might be driving people around, like whether younger siblings, whatever. You bear some responsibility at that point, usually, unless you're living a very, I guess, fortunate life where you only get to worry about the actual classes and grades. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Yeah.
I guess my point is so we're just defining social maturity, right? Because I guess
Mm-hmm.
everyone develops at different rates, right?
Of course.
Because the idea behind manipulation is from like a lack of experience, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you can't tell the difference. And I mean, 18-year-olds can be manipulated, so can 19-year-olds.
Of course.
And the only difference between a 17-year-old and 18-year-old is the law stating, right?
Right.
Like 18-year-old now becomes a life experience, while 17-year-old is predatory. So I was curious about what you view
No.
as whether it's morally or like based on just purely the law.
Of course, the lines get blurred when, especially, like, let's say someone one quote unquote one grade higher, one class higher is dating someone 1 year below them. right?
Right.
Then of course I remember, again, this is gonna date me a little bit, but when Lindsay Lohan was underage, she was dating Fez from that '70s show, the actor, I forget his name, and he was, I think, a couple years older than her, and they had to act like they were quote unquote just friends when they were. That was a big celebrity couple at the time, but she was not yet 18, and it was well known. Just to give an example, but it's 2 years later. If they continue dating, it's no big deal. So yeah, the water gets murky when you get closer and closer to in terms of age ranges, and you push those boundaries, those closer together. But yeah, that's not at all the case here. He is much further along in his personal development. In fact, I would say he's mostly socially developed. Whereas, someone who's 16, they're finding themselves. They're still figuring things out. I mean,
Right.
yeah. So, beyond this, just that initial conversation, things accelerate. And so it looks like, I think, a couple months later, it says weeks, no, months, he goes out of his way to contact her on Snapchat. Now, for those of you who don't know, Snapchat is a program, is an app, social media app, where things, it's mostly used for sexting, and simply because the pictures will disappear, most likely. Correct? Like, as far as I know,
Yep.
I'm not on Snapchat anymore.
Yeah,
But
if you save it, I believe it lets you. It lets you the person know that you saved it. So
right.
it's pretty much deletes and it's like the internet condom.
Oh, that's actually a good way of putting it. So yeah, that makes sense. And so they had some communication on Snapchat. He sent maybe the least flattering thing of himself, where he sent a selfie of himself, brooding look. Just gonna directly quote him.
Wait, you didn't fall for his charm?
No, I didn't. I didn't fall for the cringe lord where he says
Next time.
maybe better lighting. But he says, try not to come too hard with, as he said, as he broodingly looks into the camera with his prepubescent beard. So yeah, just again, so he is clearly pushing even further. He now knows he is in illegal territory with this Snapchat. She is still 16. He is 21. And yeah. She would need to be 18 for that snap to be legal. Any comment on that, or you good there?
I mean, you pretty much summed it up.
Yeah.
He knew the law. Like whether your opinion on the whole thing on the situation.
Yeah.
He knows, like, at this point he knows the law and he knows what he's doing. So there's no denying. Irrespective, there's no denying.
Yeah. And even beyond that, again, if this was let's just say this was legal, his future interactions beyond this snap, again, based on her words, he often solicited for photos from her. She was still 16. And once he got what he wanted, he would just straight up discontinue contact with her. He would just ghost her for a few weeks, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So yeah, and then beyond that, she started talking to her friend about it. So now her story, if this gets to a legal point, can be corroborated a bit, because there's some screenshots she had with a friend. But then again, then at a certain point, a certain big website called Kotaku released an article that started mentioning certain allegations about him. I believe February 2019. Yes, that is when the article came out. You got any comment on that?
February 2019. Let's see. I had it up just now. Do you have it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have it. So MethodJosh is straight up mentioned. So the title of the article, it talks about the title of the article, when your favorite streamer turns out to be a creep, parentheses, or worse. And so MethodJosh is directly implicated in this. so these are separate allegations, but this, Method Josh's reputation is publicly at this point at stake, with what
And this,
Kotaku
yeah,
mentioned. Yeah,
and this was like this the jumping off point for Method, because I
yeah,
think the allegations that Method had in general, or like allegations against them, was that they knew what Josh was like and they knew what he did, right?
mm-hmm.
And they defended themselves saying these were baseless rumors.
Yeah,
So I don't know. The Kotaku was kind of not was anonymous, and I guess for good reason, right?
mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
they defended that by saying these were baseless rumors, and they passed it on to the police to handle, which actually came back negative later on. But that's later on in the story. But so their action,
Mm-hmm.
which you guys can decide if was good or bad, was to say these are anonymous, baseless rumors. Pass it on to police. We're not equipped to handle it. Was their response to that whole thing. And whether that was good or bad, I mean, hindsight's always 2020, right?
Yeah,
Clearly now it looks like a really terrible move. As an organization, I mean, as a guild. So yeah, that's like the fuzzy part. Like as a guild, that's probably the right way to approach it. But as an organization, you should have been more proactive in your members because they represent you.
yeah, because there are, yeah, with all these sponsorships on the line, you would think that as soon as someone gets, accused of such, serious things, yeah, I mean, I should, like there are multiple accusers within this article, so it's not just like, a one-off. Like I believe there are, this article mentions three different accusers. So yeah, it gets, it's getting serious for Method. And as you said, so do you want to get into the details of how specifically they handled it with regards to the email and everything?
Yeah. So actually, Sko, the leader, he's the CEO,
Mm-hmm.
the leader of the guild, and the CEO of Method at the time, the co-CEO with along with Sasha, right?
Yeah.
So according to him, they received an email, and he called like the burner Jane Doe email address, right,
Mm.
informing them of of the illegal activities and all that stuff. This happened in January of 2019, right?
Mm.
And so they were not equipped. They said they were not equipped, and they passed on to the police. And then I think February was a Kotaku, right? And they saw some screenshots. They got clips of behavior, and then they saw the Kotaku. And so their decision there was to give a warning to Josh, and they trusted that he changed. So how much are they? So the question everyone asking is how much do they know?
Yeah.
Which this sounds like they knew something, right? So
Mm-hmm.
how much did they know? How much were they willing to slide? Or did they actually believe he would change? Or were they just downsizing or suppressing how important what actually was happening?
Right, and that's yeah, exactly. And from what we see, there were some people I know I saw on, one streamer was actually crying. Like, it was this guy, he was talking about the situation. He was actually crying about how he felt incredibly manipulated, and how when he and others went to Josh was able to very smoothly play it off and act as and make it seem like, it was no big deal. Again, this is according to just one member of not Josh, of Method, who had streamed his response to these allegations. I don't know if you saw that. I wish I
Yeah, I
remember
saw that.
his.
Other Method streamers came out with similar statements of how Josh controlled the narrative,
Mm-hmm.
because as you remember, they passed on to the police, and there was a police investigation
Mm-hmm.
made against Josh, which Josh reported himself.
Mm.
And so people from Method brought this up, but I agree with them that he was smart to do it because he controlled the narrative. He came forward and was like, "Hey guys, the police have an investigation against me about
Yeah.
all this stuff." So that allowed him to, because now it seems like, oh, he's being honest with us. He's trying to do the right thing, per se. And now he's like, and I think Method went into more detail about it, or the guild members,
Yeah.
about how he would come in late at night and tell them about what's going on, all that stuff. You late at night, you're hanging out doing some keys or playing the game, and someone comes in and casually tells you what's going on, right?
Yeah.
I'm inclined to believe that they were played by Josh versus they knew something. I mean, I guess they knew his behavior per se, but not. They believed that it was nothing, according to what Josh said.
Right.
But yeah, because he controlled the police narrative, in which later the police was, the investigation proved that nothing happened, or he was free after their police investigation.
Right. So
He
therefore,
he controlled what was going on, what the information was being pushed to them.
yeah.
So
So
I think that was genius on his move. Pretty scummy, but
yeah, like it's just very indicative of how I mean I hate to give him credit, but like masterfully he was able to just show that he was above reproach at the time with Method. I mean, this is an esport, the biggest esports organization in the world, being Method. They have a lot on the line, and if multiple people came to him, they this is their careers on the line, and he was somehow able to. They full well know what was being said at, again, a Kotaku article, one of the bigger gaming websites out there, had had this big article where they mentioned him quite a bit, with multiple accusations, that he was able to convince them that their careers were safe and to keep him on. So, I mean, not that I don't even know if it was at a point where they were ready to completely cut him off, but they had at least had the conversation about these allegations. I don't know how seriously they took them. They might say that they took them seriously. We'll never know. Only they'll know. But yeah, as we see, it ended up being their
yeah.
downfall. They played their cards wrong for sure.
I think they just say they pass on to police. That's like they keep reiterating that, like, they just pass it on to the police. They were not ready to handle it.
Yeah.
So
I
I think
mean,
trusted Josh. That's like the two main statements they could just give.
yeah. So specifically regarding his allegations again, just to circle back to that, he did also have other underage allegations. One being groomed as early as 14, slapped spaghetti on Twitter, at slapped spaghetti one, and so this was someone who was 14 and turned 15 during this initial process of communications with him. She had some conversations with him where messages were sent, and she said, and not of his face. Pictures were sent, I should say, and not of his face, back and forth between the two. And she started having the panic attacks. Her relationship, quote unquote, with him continued through the Kotaku article that came out again, and she's saying over here January 2019. It's dated February, but January, February. And right after the article came out, like you said, something that he did, that ultimately worked in his favor, at least temporarily, was he controlled the narrative because he panic called her, quote, yelling at me if I had reported him and making me promise to always deny no matter what. He'd go on to say the exact same things on Snapchat. So again, a lot of this relationship is carried on through Snapchat. He ghosted her as well as just like he did with the other underage accuser. And then then things continued as of February 2020, where he wanted to recruit her into being the third in a relationship with his girlfriend. So the accusations go just beyond him into his girlfriend, named Ali. And so I don't know. Did you get much? Are you well versed on like sort of what happened here?
So yeah, I believe Ali was that was the underage, another one.
Mm-hmm. She was 14 when he first started.
Yeah,
15.
the 14-year-old,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe that she just I think they reached out, like, again on like a Discord, right?
Yeah.
Trying to go over some of the I think disc priest, she looked up to him
Mm-hmm.
because his status as a disc priest, and I guess that makes him a celeb when you're really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so. But yeah, so actually let me pull up the Twitch, not the Twitch, the
Twit longer. I got you. I'll
You
send
got
it
it?
to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you. I have it up. So there it
Oh,
is.
nice.
So yeah, like you said, he was a pretty big celebrity at the time. I'm not. I've only recently started watching some streamers. Like I've kind of a little bit behind there with the times, and so in terms when this is happening, in January, February 2019, I didn't watch Twitch at all, but I still knew of MethodJosh because as a mythic healer myself,
Right.
I
I
see
mean,
his
everyone
name pop up
knew
across
of him,
different
I
guides.
think, right?
Well, no, but I'm just saying I was completely sort of obtuse in terms of like knowing anything about the Twitch world. Like I did barely knew who Asmongold was. Like some of the bigger streamers, I had no idea. I think around that time I had started because that was when one of our friends was playing World of Warcraft, and he was PvPing with me, and he talked a lot about Rekful. So that was
Right.
sort of my, and I believe Rekful was starting to stream in the beginning of BFA. So I was barely familiar with this world, and so again, just to reiterate, that's how little I knew of Twitch. Yet I was still well aware of MethodJosh. So he has a lot of influence and sway within this world. So yeah, are you taking a look at the her
Yeah,
twit longer?
so yeah, it started when she was 14, right? Grew at 14.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this, so when you're 14, right, you're just starting high school, you're freshman high school.
Yeah.
Got your lunch money for some pizza
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And so she's reporting this right now when she's 16 years old, about to turn 17, okay? So
Yeah.
it's about 3 years, 2 to 3 years. So it starts off in chat, right? Talking on Discord, and then, right, I think, so she joins his Discord, right? And she wants to get noticed, she's 14, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they start talking, and so when she turns 15, it starts off by saying, hey, Josh wants her to prove that she's a girl. Boom, sends her her Instagram to him.
Yeah.
So then starts this whole thing about he compliments her, starts grooming her, kind of, making her feel wanted, feeling pretty and all that stuff. And as such, everything started rolling from there. So then eventually, she started sending him pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and he receives them back, and it's not of his face.
Yeah.
So yeah, it went pretty escalated pretty quick. And then somewhere around that time, she says she started having panic attacks and all this stuff happening. And she said, so yeah, this whole thing of the pictures and then not wanting to disappoint him or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just really took a toll on him. And so again, the ghosting, right? Typical predatory behavior of manipulating, grooming, all that stuff. Hold off on a few weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come back again, try to keep her on the leash, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, the rest of it is just, her trying to get through it, and then everything started coming out, right? With the sexual allegations, and then so
Exactly.
now she's 17ish, 16, 17, right? And she's more experienced and she knows better, and as such,
Yeah.
she wishes to stand up and make a stand.
Yeah,
Make a
and
statement.
these people who are posting onto it longer, like good on them. They're publicly, having been affected at at a very young age. Very like you're very very impressionable at that age. Like when a quote unquote celebrity in the gamer world shows you attention, naturally they're gonna get roped in a bit. It just makes it, they're young and the word precocious, I believe, if I'm using that word correctly. Like they're just very easily able to get, like you said, on a leash. And he fully used his power. And again, he's fully aware, I should say, of what he's doing, because in one of his Snapchat messages to her, he mentioned to her, "You're my underage little whore, aren't you?" Which is just ick, right? And
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that kind of is a decent summary of this other allegation, but the most serious of them. You want to get into that with regards to Pooper Noodle?
Yeah, so Pooper Noodle, that's the worst one out of them all, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
So Pooper Noodle was a streamer, and they got to know each other a little bit. And so the premise is, she lost her internet for the week and came to stay with him
Yeah.
for that week, so she can stream and do some work and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so Pooper Noodle herself was, so during that week, they were so Josh was streaming the whole time, and they were getting to like hang out and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then so during one of the streams. So this is actually one of the reasons why Josh got banned from Twitch, actually. So
Oh, like the direct reason this was
yes,
okay.
not because of. I mean, this is her statement of like the full story,
Mm-hmm.
um, which we'll get into in just a second. But so the reason he got banned is he pulled a knife on her.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
that was actually so that's part of the reason why that was like the first one was like the statements and the Kotaku and the burner email, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people and Method was like, oh, there's no allegation. I mean, it's only allegations, nothing major, right? In terms of evidence. And Josh is controlling the narrative, saying it's okay, and we give it to the police, right? I think
Yeah.
logically that kind of makes sense. Morally, I think you should have done more in terms of your brand.
Yeah, I don't. Well, so you say there wasn't much in terms of evidence, specifically with regards to. I mean, there were screenshots, but I don't know how seriously police
Yeah, exactly.
take
Well, see, that's
that.
the part of the problem is like
Yeah,
they're
because they can
boomers.
be.
Let's be honest. Some of
Yeah,
them are boomers,
yeah.
and so when you have these screenshots, I mean, some of them were because when you have anonymous, like, because it feels like they're anonymously messaging methods like, "Hey, you should look into it," right?
Mm-hmm.
And their response is, "Give it to the police." And honestly, Ram,
I
I
mean,
don't think that's like in a grand scheme of thing, the police should be the ones to handle it, right?
even yeah,
But unfortunately, we know like when it comes to these online situations, that is not always going to happen,
with
especially
the
in he said she said type of deals.
yeah, especially even though the he said can be directly tied to a profile that is I should not notorious, that's famous on the internet. They're not aware of the internet culture. They're not aware of what the hell Discord is. They don't know what's. I mean, they probably have heard of Snapchat, but they don't know if they can. I'm not sure if they know how to navigate Snapchat and what to do with that. So yeah, there's still a level of anonymity with the internet, even though there shouldn't be, because it can very easily be tied back to one's identity. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so Poop Nooper specifically, they met at like TwitchCon, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
or just to confirm, I think it was TwitchCon. But they met at an event, right? And they got to know each other. Nothing too serious in the beginning.
Right.
So then eventually they decided to meet up, and I believe it was for the reason that she didn't have like internet and all that stuff, and so they were gonna stay at his stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. And
And
just
so
to
then starts.
clarify, she's of age, right? At this point.
Yes,
Okay.
she's yeah. I think yeah. Just to let everyone know, this is oh shit.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah.
nothing. So just to let people know, in case anyone is uncomfortable with this type of stuff. So what happened here is Josh raped her, and we're going to get into more specifics. So if anyone is pretty, can is pretty vulnerable to this, maybe they would like to step away. But yeah, so pretty
Yeah.
much what happened is, yeah, so they met up, and it all started when she goes to meet him. Apparently he's on his stream saying how she's making fun of him or her, not going to go pick her up or anything like that, right?
Right.
Like on stream making saying just terrible shit, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so then eventually they picked up, and uh, yeah, eventually they go to his house, right? The stream
Mm-hmm.
ends. He's keen to go to bed, as she says, and so they get to the house, and he wants to go to bed, and so they hop into bed together. And so she's like, I thought so. Her statement is, I thought we might spoon, and she was okay with that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so it goes on from there. They do some jokes, whatever, and then apparently he has some wandering hands,
Yeah.
more from spooning, right? And he directly asked her, "Hey, why won't you sleep with me?" Right? And she's like, "Well, she knows that he doesn't like her, like in more like relationship type of deal. Something more just wanting that instant gratification."
Sure.
So that's where things get a little bit fuzzy. And so then right after that, so she describes the rape in detail.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to go over it or
Yeah, get
skip
into the
that
detail.
part?
I think it's just navigate carefully. But yeah, you're welcome. I say, like, considering the content we're talking about, it's fair to mention what happened.
Okay, so he starts grabbing more, tries to find a way in, asks if she likes to be choked,
Yeah.
and starts choking her. She tries to push him away, and then he tries to pull her pants down, and then he climbs on top of her and then forces his way in.
Yeah.
And then she screams no, and then after he pulls out, he ejaculates on top of her pants. And then she takes a shower.
Yeah. So then, how does it go on the day after, or in the ensuing?
After that,
after,
she takes a shower, and
like she went to the police, right?
so that,
I believe
that's later on. So
yeah.
And then so they had sex again, had some anal sex. Also, apparently kept using her.
Yeah.
And then he played League the rest of the night. And then the next day she started streaming again. And so apparently to her it was obvious that something happened. And I do remember the stream. It was obvious something happened between them also. Like,
was it awkward? It was awkward.
Like, yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
It was like you can see like just how thick the tension was.
Yeah.
So yeah, all this stuff, and then then she leaves, goes to the train to stay with a nearby friend, right?
Yeah.
Or in the nearby city to stay with her friend.
So at this point, this goes beyond just messaging. This is now rape. Like it's gotten physical.
Yeah, this is full on rape.
His like creepiness has manifested itself and directly harmed someone.
Raped her multiple times over that night.
Yeah, which is just yeah. So in terms of the bigger picture, was Method made aware of this specific
I
thing
don't
with
believe
Pooper
so.
Noodle?
I think so. The Kotaku, which was not this one, right?
Right.
And then the burner email address, so just saying, hey, Josh is doing like these things, right?
Sure.
Like just approaching women and being like how he talks in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have his stream performance in general, right? And that's where it gets kind of tricky because people
right.
because hindsight is always 2020.
And it's like, armchair psychology. It really is.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this guy acts like this, and then so like I mean I don't know if you ever seen his stream, right? But he acts kind of like borderline incel.
Yeah, no, like he jokes about it on.
But that's the thing. I mean, a lot of these streamers have personalities. Are they joking or are they serious?
Yeah.
And turns out he was serious about it. But that's where the thing is. Like, people are hindsight are like, you should have known. I mean, look how he acts. But then that's not always tricky.
That's the level.
That's not always clear at the time.
I mean, that's like a level to his manipulation where he's like he's able to so casually play things off because he's aware of his image that he's built for himself, where he quote unquote pretends to be a creep and like a loner and a dude that's like kind of socially awkward, but he's actually not only all of those things, he's more. It goes well beyond that, which he himself actually mentioned in one specific clip, right? Like where the charting of his image. Have you seen that clip?
Of what?
So there was one clip specifically where he charts like how people view him socially, and it's all like an upside down bell graph where he jokes about how he's an incel. So at the top, in the beginning of the graph, like he's just drawing it on MS Paint or whatever, everyone views him, but because he jokes, everyone views him as normal and one of them. But he says, but stay on the ride, you'll see, like he's joking. He's literally like, it's like almost a stream of consciousness thing, but he's again playing it off because he's so damn manipulative, where he plays off that things will be revealed almost in a way, like stay on the ride, and he's laughing about it.
I mean, Josh, okay, we can all agree Josh is a terrible person.
Yeah, scum of the earth.
But he's smart, dude. He's smart.
Yeah, like a lot of times people say like these sociopaths, like, which is what he absolutely is. Like they're some of the smartest people, especially in terms of their like how they can navigate different scenarios and come out of them, completely clean, which he did for a while.
I mean, it's weird because in a way, like people like say he's socially inept.
Yeah.
But he's socially adept in a weird way because he managed to like thread his way through like the whole gaming community and do all this until until they all came out,
Yeah,
right? But
I would argue he's actually the, like in a weird way the opposite, where he's
yeah,
actually a
exactly.
master of social like just
Yeah,
interaction.
he's like incel. His image of incel
Yeah,
covering his social skills
yeah,
on top of his incel. Like it's like incel social skills, incel like sandwich.
yeah. It's insane.
It's yeah.
So yeah,
So
so that's kind of the deal with Method. Obviously, the accusations made their way up the ladder. Nothing came of it, and now they're, TLDR. They are completely gone. They're deleted. They're canceled. And rightfully so. People say those words mockingly, but they absolutely deserve to be
right.
disbanded because of
Yeah.
how poorly they handled this. Like if multiple people knew, as that one streamer said, a group of people came to him and he was able to play this off, and it shouldn't have ended there. Like it should not have ended
So I mean,
internally.
are you saying so? I think they were stupid about it.
Yeah,
They
of
were
course.
ignorant. So some people are saying that they purposely hid it. They knew like that Josh did all this, and they like hid it.
Yeah.
And I just want to give my opinion that I think they were just stupid about it. They were they were ignorant of the situation. They were too trusting, and they didn't do the due diligence that should be of a company. And I agree they should be canceled, but because there's a level of diligence and proper etiquette that you need to take as a company that they didn't take, right?
Yeah.
And but I don't think they're like, especially the guild people inside and some of the borderline staff or the teams, right? And I mean the staff members, like the top people. I think it's hard to say how much they actually know. They say then they were like they had the same level of knowledge as like the guild members in
Right.
terms of
Right.
like being manipulated, but it's hard to say for that. But a
And
lot of
we.
people are going out and saying they are terrible people and they knew and they destroyed these females' lives, and
Yeah.
I disagree. I think it's more like they were just stupid. They were insanely
Yeah,
stupid.
they just didn't handle it the proper way. Like they aren't, their lack of action doesn't make them equally as equally bad as he is, potentially. Like it again, we will never know exactly what level of awareness they had regarding all these things. But I mean, if people are going to, you know what, we'll get into that a little bit in our potentially part two of this conversation, because we have we do need to move on a little bit. Other news, potentially related, potentially not. Dr. Disrespect, with regards to Twitch, one of the biggest Twitch streamers on the planet, is no longer with Twitch. They have permabanned him completely. You want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you have as much information as I do.
Yeah,
No one,
yeah,
I mean, no one knows what is happening with Dr. Disrespect. He was dropped from his sponsors. I think he was re-added later on
yeah. He
and
was.
re-added to Twitch.
Yeah,
So, but no one knows exactly what's going on. I don't think even he knew. Like he released a message later on. There was some speculation initially that it was due to sexual allegations, just because. I mean, look what everything was going on. People, I mean, right? They shouldn't be jumping to conclusions, but they did, right? And
yeah. And you know what? Let me preface everything we're about to talk about in the next few minutes. We are not by any means equating Dr. Disrespect with MethodJosh. However, it would be mental to not think that there, with everything going on Twitch, because it isn't just with MethodJosh who was banned. Like we
yeah,
said,
there's
with
like
just within the WoW community, there's a lot of people, but it goes beyond that. There are a lot of people currently. Fed is another person. Like huge streamers are being deplatformed, is the term which I've seen recently. Right? Like who are there any other
yeah,
big
they're
streamers?
just being canceled. They're just being straight up canceled.
Yeah. So
It's
and
cancer
these.
culture at its finest.
Yeah.
And you could say, well, some of them deserve it. And I agree with that. Some of them do deserve it, but I don't
Yeah.
believe Twitter should be the platform to do that.
Yeah. It
It's
shouldn't
like
be.
it's a courtroom.
And that's the thing. It's just it's very difficult to I mean, the arguments can be made. I don't want to both sides this conversation, but both sides, like there are arguments to be made in favor of one conclusion or another. However, specifically with Dr. Disrespect, it would be crazy to not think that there is a significant chance, that he has been busted for some sort of sexual assault allegation. I will say this, however, he even though he lost all his sponsors and they've all been regained, that does work in his favor a bit, right? I and then on top of
100%.
that, his wife released a statement of sort of support for him. So okay, to be fair, like she may be doing that. Like there's a chance, like he may have still. There's obviously still a good chance that he may have done that, and he may have committed some sort of sexual assault. And she's still supporting him because he's lying to her potentially. I'm not saying that's the case, but there is a chance of that happening. She has stuck with him. I believe I've learned a lot about him. Again, he's another huge streamer who I was just very broadly aware of simply because I've seen him so I'm a big basketball fan. I've seen him attend like front row courtside seats at Laker games. So I've seen him just randomly on TNT while watching basketball. So he's a big deal. Like he's got money. He's one right. Like is he the biggest
Yeah.
Twitch streamer or was he the biggest
Yeah,
Twitch streamer?
I don't know exact numbers, but he's one of the top ones for sure.
Okay, so
And anything happening to him really rocks the boats.
yeah.
Rock the boat, in my opinion.
So like he has in the past, I believe he has come clean about being unfaithful to his wife. So obviously sexual assault goes beyond that, but there are sort of issues in the past where his wife has stood by him. So it's very possible that he has committed something and she's still standing by him.
I'm just hoping it's not sexual assault at this point, because that'd be like it's hard to say, but that'd be a breath of fresh air that I missed of everything. At least he didn't do.
oh, like is he like your hero or something? Like do you
No,
like
but
him?
I mean, like it just seems like every day there's another streamer just
Yeah.
getting accused and all that stuff. It'd be nice if at least one of the bigger streamers had some decency, right?
So with the way the sponsors have stood by his side, at least again, this is as of last time I checked, I have been sleeping for the last few hours, so I don't know if any new developments came of it, but with his sponsors standing by his side, and then also some people have speculated that this might be a financial thing where fraud or something to that effect, where skimming off the top of a charity or potentially contract issues with Twitch to the point where he may have been negotiating with another platform, and potentially similar to how Ninja left to Mixer. I saw speculation again. I shouldn't. I'm just gonna put it out there. Like I hope not to legitimize this speculation because it could just be
Right.
stupid, irresponsible speculation. But that he was.
I think if it's any other time period,
Yeah.
I think it would be like the speculations would not occur. But I think
Yeah.
this particular time period is just a very sensitive.
Yeah, it's so I'll just say that he was there were rumblings that he was working with other streamers to potentially move en masse to another platform. Again, I don't know if that's true. And he himself, he did release a statement, but it was very I mean, it was like the perfect legal statement where he said, I have not been made aware, or something to that effect. This is me paraphrasing, but he said, I have not been made aware of the reason why I was banned. That's not implying that he doesn't know the reason he was banned. He could very clearly know, Twitch bans their biggest streamer. He's got to know why. Like, he's not, dumb and just forgetting his own actions. So clearly he did something wrong. Some people, do you think maybe it's a, publicity stunt by any chance?
Maybe, but it's hard to say without more information at this point.
Yeah.
But I'm not ruling that out because that's definitely what Twitter is kind of coming to, or it
Yeah.
has become, right, for quite a while.
Yeah, and I'm not someone who, I don't usually follow too much Twitch drama, but this is being discussed pretty heavily, like this around, at least around internet circles. So if this is a publicity stunt, it's well done, but I would just say the timing of it couldn't be worse simply because of everyone, like you said, a lot of these accusations coming out, and it's just, they may have planned this long term if it was a publicity stunt, right? I don't know. Do you like, if you had to like bet your life on something?
I don't know, honestly. Like, when I think I know something, it comes out of left field, right?
Yeah.
Every day, these past few weeks is like, can 2020 get any worse, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Things are.
So I mean, if it's not like anything sexual, like allegations, yeah, I think probably, I would say maybe.
Yeah.
How do you say? It's just for clout.
Yeah, yeah. It would, like I said, it would be. There's a lot of people pretending, I would say, to know a lot. That by no means are we in the know or connected in any way, shape, or form. So we are complete idiots with regards to this. We're just guessing out of our asses. And I mean, if I had to guess something, I would probably guess he's tied into all these allegations. But again, I don't know for sure. It's not something I know based on the way his last stream went. Did you see that, by the way? Like, what were you?
No,
What
no,
did,
what happened?
did you see his? You didn't see like how his stream ended.
No, how did it
So,
happen?
so there's like an 8.5 minute clip of his last stream. It wasn't like he just got banned in the middle of it. He very clearly a few minutes in, got some message, and in the reflection of his glasses, you can see him glance at his phone. And then he so clearly got some message. He was talking about some like the book of some conspiracy theorist, not our friend Ash, but someone else. And we have a friend who's pretty big into conspiracy theories. And so he was talking about that, and then he just went absolutely quiet while watching some video. And the video was actually kind of had a creepy element to it. I forget the name of it. It was something like it looked like a hide and go seek game or something, loot blocks or something. I forget what it was called. And he just starts like he goes silent for like a big chunk of these, middle 4 to 5 minutes, just barely incoherently mentioning the author he mentioned in the first 2 minutes of the clip before he got the message. And then he starts saying, "We're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this. Something about the Champions Club. We'll get through this." And then, he's if his glasses weren't on, I would guess that he kind of is having this realization that his Twitch career is coming to an end. I figured you would know about this. I wish I could just link it to you. We could just watch it. But
No, yeah, I didn't even see that actually.
yeah, yeah. No, it's like very creepy in a way. And then he somberly starts to like say like we're gonna get through this, and then he mentions that or then he just wildly gestures to off camera, says fuck, and then cuts to some video thing that I guess he normally runs when he closes out his streams, and then that's it. Like it was just
yesterday.
This was his last stream before his ban, whenever that happened, a few days ago, I guess, at this point.
You.
Yeah, these were the last 8 minutes of him on Twitch. So in some ways, it's like, Twitch history. I definitely recommend you watch that. Maybe you can comment on it on part 2 of this conversation.
Yeah, dude, 2020 has been crazy, dude. You got like World War III, you got these hornets, and then you got like some, I don't know, coronavirus, and now you have
yeah.
Dude, 2020 has been a ride, and it's been not a good ride either. It's not like a fun roller coaster. It's just like a death pit.
We have a president tweeting out a video with white power in it. Someone yelling white power. It's it's really interesting. So anyways,
jeez.
So we I think this is a good time as any to sort of wrap it up. We this again, just to mention to the audience of 3 people, we did intend to have 2 parts to this episode. We covered a lot of the specifics with MethodJosh and Dr. Disrespect. Next time we might get into a little bit of it with Fed, but we also want to talk about more generic issues within like what's going on within, I guess people
the gaming
would
industry, females connected. What does it mean to like come forward, and I guess how does that affect everybody? What's like the solution going forward, honestly?
Yeah, some of the more meta conversations that need to be had regarding these kinds of issues. We will get that out in a bit. We might also mention some updates on what we've discussed today, if any come out. But yeah, thank you for having us. Ash, anything you want to mention?
No, yeah, thanks for coming. If you guys have any questions, anything, leave it down below. We'll try to get to it.
Yeah.
If you guys have any tips to improving the stream, also, this is only our 2nd episode, but
podcast, but not stream.
Podcast.
Very good,
episode,
very good.
Whatever. But we're definitely trying to make a good experience for you guys. So any tips would be pretty helpful. And yeah, so thanks for coming by.
Yeah, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe.
Right.
I
Yeah.
I hate that I have to say that,
Yeah.
but I
Selling
have to
out.
say
Yeah, of
that.
course.
Yeah, I have to say that. So yeah, thank you for if you've made it this far. Sincerely appreciate it. We hope to give you a lot of engaging content in the coming weeks. We will be rolling out Discord. We have a Twitter account, an Instagram account. We are looking to, and again, I believe I mentioned this in our last introductory podcast, but we are going to be looking to expand the brand a bit with other projects as well. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, my name is Ram. That is
And
Ash, and yeah, thank you very much for listening to GamerWatch. Have a good one.
all right. Thank you.
And record.